We become what we think about. All of us are self-made, but only the successful will admit it.
I want you to really stop and take a look at your life. Take an honest look at your life. We have actually been conditioned to kid with ourselves, to lie to ourselves, to not really take an honest look at the results we're getting. I want you to take a real honest look at your results. And when you look at them, ask yourself, am I living the way I really want to live?
My philosophy was a very simple one. And this is where I think film plays a big part of my life. Rudy was one of my favorite films growing up. After watching that film, I come to understand if I could work that hard every day with being blessed with the physical tools that I have, what would my career be? And I made a promise to myself from that day that I was going to work that hard every single day so that when I do retire, I have no regrets. And that was the most important thing for me, is to leave no stone unturned, get better every single day. And if I lived that way, then over time, I'd have something that was beautiful. But that was my philosophy. It seems like a pretty simple one, but if you live your life to just get better every single day, and you do that for 20 years, what do you have?
You cannot take a peach seed and plant it in a teaspoon of dirt and expect it to grow. Though the teaspoon of the dirt is the same size as the peach seed, it will not grow. The seed will only grow when it is planted in something bigger than itself. And I want to know, where are you planted this morning? Are you planted in something bigger than you? Or have you always been planted in teacups, surrounded by little dirt, little resources, small-minded people, narrow, limited places that never let you stretch to reach your capacity? Sometimes you gotta go where the corn is.
What you know, as for all incredible success you've had and the value you've created for the world, is that it's not about resources, right? Because we know a lot of people who didn't have any resources that were able to impact the world. It's about our internal resources. And what I'm saying is optimizing our environment, optimizing our behaviors, our capabilities, our beliefs and our values, and our identity, right? At the highest level, our identity, because you can't just change your belief or your values or your behavior even if you don't believe you're that kind of person. That's why I kind of always go to the superhero mythos, because I want people to claim that identity. I call it the superhero you, that version of ourselves that we're not waiting for Superman or Batman or Wonder Woman. It's like, you are Wonder Woman, you are Batman, you are Superman. It's just we have to commit ourselves to be able to unleashing.
As Haroon Yahya noted, I always wonder why birds stay in the same place when they can fly anywhere on Earth. And then I ask myself the same question. As Mark Twain put it, the secret of getting ahead is getting started. And that's where people get stuck. You're literally like the bird. You could fly anywhere you want. You can go anywhere you want to go. And look, I know you've got a litany of excuses, and all of them are valid. You've got a job, you can't just leave, or you don't have a job and you don't have the money. Your family is in one place. It's the only thing that you've ever known. You only speak one language. You've never traveled before. You don't have a passport. You can't afford the gas money. There are 1,000 real reasons not to go. But the truth is that none of them matter. The truth is, if you want to build something in your life, then you have to remember what Mark Twain said. You have to get started, because at the end of the day, that is literally the only thing that's holding you back. You're not moving. And once you get the simplicity of that, once you understand that you could act right now, you could say all the excuses. You could stop making them. You could stop giving into them. No matter how valid they are, no matter how real they may seem, you can finally decide that you're going to get up and move, that you're going to create that momentum, that you're going to take a step, that you're going to make the demand, that you create momentum, that you get something done, that you find an answer, or as Hannibal said, that you're going to find a way or make one. If you have to carve through rock, do it, because humans before you have done it. And that's the simple truth. That is the simple truth. And everything else is bullshit. Everything else is the weak voice in your mind holding you back. best version of yourself. So I ask you, why doesn't the bird fly wherever it wants to go? Because that's all it's known? Because that's what's safe? Because that's what's comfortable? Or because it's a dumb fucking animal? What do you want to do? If this isn't the life you want to live, do something about it.
Every single person, except my best friend Gail, said you're going to fail. Every single person when I left my bosses by this time thought I was terrific and said you're walking into a landmine, you're going to fail, Chicago's a racist city, you're black, you're not going to make it. Everything to keep me staying. They then offered me a car and an apartment and all this stuff, and I said no, if I fail then I will find out what is the next thing for me, what is the next true thing for me.
It felt right to you, so you went for it.
Because it felt like this is now the move I need to make. And I was not one of those people, all of my, the people who worked with me in news, they would have their tapes and they'd have their stories and they'd have, resumes ready. I didn't have any of that because I knew that the time would come where what I needed would show up for me. And when that showed up, I was ready. Because my definition of luck is preparation, meeting the moment of opportunity. Right. And I was prepared to be able to step into that world of talk in a way that I knew I could do it.
So how did you navigate situations in which you might have felt more alone?
Always the only woman in the room. Still walk in, only woman in the room. And there's a room full of white men, usually older. Thrills me. Just thrills me. I just love it. Usually the only black person in the room. Also, never really concerned me because I don't look at people through color. I didn't get to be where I am and who I am by looking at the color of people's skin. I really, literally took Martin Luther King at his word and understand that the content of a person's character and refuse to let anybody else do that to me. So I love it, just love it. And there's a wonderful phrase by Maya Angelou from a poem that she wrote called To Our Grandmothers, that she says, when I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. So when I walk into a room, and particularly before I have something really challenging to do, or I'm going to be in a circumstance where I feel I'm going to be, up against some difficulties, I will literally sit and I will call on that 10,000. I will call on the ancestors. I will call on those people who've come before me. I will call on the women who forged a path that I might be able to sit in the room with all of those white men and love it so much. I call on that because I know that my being where I am, and first of all, being who I am and where I am, didn't come just out of myself, that I come from a heritage. And so I own that, and I step into that room, not just as myself, but I bring all of that energy with me. So it has never been an issue for me, except when I was, I think, 23, still working in Baltimore. I'd gone to my boss and said that the guy who was working with me, my co-host on the People Are Talking show, was making more money than I. And we were co-hosts. So I went to my boss and I said, this is in 1970, so I was older than 23. It was 1979, 80. And I said, I just would like to, you know how intimidating it is to go to the boss in the first place. But I'm gonna go and I'm gonna stand up for myself. And I said, Richard's making more money than I am, and I don't think that's fair because we're doing the same job. We sit in the same show, we do the same. And my general manager said, why should you make as much money as he? And I said, because we're doing the same job. And he said, but he has children. Do you have children? And I said, no. He said, well, he has to pay for college educations. He owns his own home. Do you own your home? I said, no. He said, he has a mortgage to pay. He has insurance. Do you have that? No. So tell me, why do you need the same amount of money? And I said, thank you for your time. And I left. I didn't complain about it. I didn't file a suit about it. I knew that in that moment, it was time for me to go. And that I started the process for myself of preparing myself for, you will not be here long. You are not going to be able to get what you need. I had a boss at the time who was African American and had just been, for the first time, made an assistant news director and was drunk with power. And felt it I think he woke up in the morning thinking of things he could do to harass me. I decided not to file a suit against it because I knew at the time I would lose.
Right.
That no good would come of it, that I would be blackballed in television, that it would turn into a major thing. And I knew I didn't have long to stay there. I had a vision for what the future was, even though I couldn't place exactly where my future would be. I knew who held the future, because I am really guided by a force that's bigger than myself. I know that my being here on the planet is not just of my own making.
So you use that as momentum to just leave, cut your losses, and go?
I filed it away. I go, there will come a time.
It's gonna come back. Yeah, you were right. I think you were right.
I will be sitting in the same room, and it happened like in the late 90s. I had the Oprah show, and I ran into that guy. Lord Jesus, thank you. Oh my God. Oh, one of the sweetest moments I've ever had.